Hi everybody, welcome to number 2 of the series about all the different trop rock artists that I have interviewed and written about through the years. If you happen to catch the first one, which was all about Brent Burns, who's my very first back in 2011, you learned that kind of how I got into doing this. I talked my way into writing a column for a magazine called Gulfscapes, called Parrothead Perusals and Trop Rock Tales. And I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in September of 2011 at an event called Shark Stock, and got to interview Brent Burns. And then Rob Mehl was the second musician I interviewed. And boy, did I ever fall in love. Rob is just the most wonderful person. Let me read you, first of all, the piece that I wrote about him. And then I've got a second one. I've got a few albums, CDs to show you and talk about a couple of my favorite songs and a few things about Rob. And then I'll read you my second article that I wrote about him last year, I think it was. But the first one I called The Aloha Spirit of Rob Mehl. If you know anything about Rob, you know that he grew up in Hawaii. In fact, he didn't wear shoes until he was about 12 or 13. So anyway, this is what I wrote. The favorite trop rock song of 2011 was announced in Key West at the Trop Rock Awards meeting during Meeting of the Minds last November. You can tell this is a while ago. Parrotheads from across the nation cheered as Rob Mehl's Waiting for Jimmy was declared to be the winner. And what a winner is Rob Mehl. This San Diego resident grew up in Hawaii and wore no shoes on his feet until age 13. I was wrong, 13. The talking songs of old Hawaiian music influenced him, and he began writing poetry when he was 11 years old. He heard melodies occasionally in his mind to go with the words, but he didn't attempt to sing for quite some time. And Rob spent time serving his country in Vietnam, and in 1972, he bought a cheap guitar and began playing professionally at coffee houses as a singer-songwriter. He eventually wound up in San Diego and heard Jimmy Buffett at San Diego State University. Now, Rob was friends with Jim Messina of Loggins and Messina at the time. Apparently, Jim Messina stole Rob's girlfriend. Can you imagine that? But they became good friends, and it was Jim's invitation to hear Buffett that opened a whole new world of music for Rob. So, incorporating Buffett songs into his laid-back tropical repertoire, the San Diego Parrothead Club discovered Rob over 10 years ago, and he began to play for events and soon became a mainstay of that wonderful tropical musical sound. He says trop rock found him, and he's constantly impressed at the great generosity of Parrotheads. As one of the most mellow and laid-back musicians around, Rob Mehl has a wonderful quote: "We've all been given to give away." His wonderful adage should be a mantra for us all. So that's what I wrote quite a few years ago after meeting Rob. And he was so kind and he was so gracious. And I don't have near all of his albums, but I have a few. And the first one, so 3 I actually have on my iTunes. So I'm not going to try to show you those, but the first one that I have is called Pacific, and it was came out in 2005. And then the next one that I have was Out of the Blue from 2009. And then the one that I bought from Rob when I first met him back in 2011 is one of my favorites. It may not be that well known, but I love it. It's called Neat with a Twist. That retro artwork there. And this is the one that Waiting for Jimmy was on, that won Best Song in 2011 at the Trop Rock Music Association Awards. And one of my favorites that I always ask Rob to play this anytime I see him, is Cool Like Michael Franks, who is my absolute favorite jazz singer, and he's also from San Diego. But he's just got so many wonderful, wonderful songs on that particular album. Another one that's great that probably a lot of you have if you're into Rob is Gimme the Keys. This came out in 2011, and is this the one? I don't know. I'll talk about that in just a second. And then I guess that's it. Backdrop. Oh, Give Me the Keys, 2011. Backdrop was in 2013. And then the last one that I have is called, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, but it's Moai Lanai. Moai Lanai, 2017. And one of my favorite songs from that album is called Dancing in the Green Room. You know, Rob is a surfer, and he learned to surf from the Beach Boys, not the Wilson brothers and all, but the old Beach Boys in Hawaii, on Waikiki. And if you go to a house concert that Rob gives, he always talks about that and how much he learned from them, and how what an impact that they made on his life. Well, the green room is like when you you catch a wave and you get caught up, and it's that kind of almost like a tube that you can sometimes surf through. Not here on the Texas coast where I live, but in different places in Hawaii and then on the Pacific also. And then another one of my favorite songs is Key Lime Limbo. That's a lot of fun. And then another one of my all-time favorites is Slow Down Summer. That's really a great song. And the older I get, the more I like it because it speaks to me. Okay, I'm going to read now. The other one, Rob, actually, the other piece I wrote about Rob, he actually had a house concert at our house last May. We were so fortunate to have him, and he stayed with us about 3 days. And so I said, we can't just let you be here for all this time and not have an interview about something, so I can write more about you. And so we talked about his surfing. So this is how surfing inspires Rob Mehl's music. Having time with Rob Mehl is a gift. Having him in your home is a treasure. And we recently experienced that when Rob came to perform a house concert in Port Aransas, Texas. There was no way I could allow this marvelous tropical storyteller to be in our house and not talk about one of his life's great passions, which is surfing. Now, if you've spent much time listening to Rob, you know much of his adolescence was spent in Hawaii. His dad was military and the family was stationed there for several years. Rob's passion for surfing goes beyond the board and the waves, though. He learned a great deal of wisdom from the Beach Boys, which were the Hawaiians who congregated in areas on the Waikiki Beach when not out catching the waves. He spent time telling me about how this lifestyle has affected his music. Rob's catchword was freedom. His early surfing days included no job, no money, no responsibilities. Those were the days, he reminisced, when you're that free, connection with words and music just happens. Many times we're not attached to our surfboards, and being in the waves is such freedom. When I asked if there were any legendary surfers that were influences on him and his music, he was quick to recount those names. There was Skip Fry, a well-known surfboard maker, who could look at the clouds while being inland and tell where the waves were and what they were like miles away. And then Steve Walden, another surfboard shaper, figured in, as well as Larry Gordon of Gordon and Smith Surfboards, Bill Castor, and Jerry Lopez. Rob also met Wingnut of Endless Summer 2 fame and surfed with him. From these athletes and Hawaiian Beach Boys, he learned a great deal about respect and character. Character has inspired him to write. The quality of behavior and discipline goes hand in hand with his songwriting. Many catchphrases in Rob's song lyrics have been surf-inspired, such as the invisible intersection, defined as where the sky meets the water as seen from atop of a surfboard. An area named Swami's is where the dolphins play, and you've heard those lyrics if you've listened to his Out of the Blue album. Many times Rob has been out on a surfboard and starts singing an idea that comes to him. So the ideas intrigue him and then begin to grow. Subconsciously, the words will fall out, leaving a trail. He recalled the musical and lyrical elements can fit together without even thinking about it. And Rob has written several new songs and actually unveiled a couple of them at our house concert. They were accepted enthusiastically by the listening audience there, and Rob hopes to start a new CD project soon. So the next time that you hear Rob in person, remember that he sings not only from the heart, but with character and freedom inspired by all those many waves that he surfed through the years. I just love Rob. I have a few pictures of him. Some are pictures that I took, some are pictures that other people took. This one, and I'm going to see if I can switch this around. Let's see, can I do this? Can I switch it? It's not going to let me switch it. Is it not? Okay, here we go. Well, let's see. Okay, I thought I had this down. Okay, there's Rob. I love that picture because it's just like he anything mischievous and impish comes out in that picture to me. Okay, and then this one was one that I'm not sure who took this picture, but it was at Hog's Breath in Key West during Meeting of the Minds. Rob played there during the afternoons for several years. It was a great gig that he had. And then this is one that I snapped of him there at Hog's Breath a few years ago. And then this was actually in our living room. And the artist who did this painting that he's singing in front of on the wall is from San Diego. He was typical Rob. He was so gracious. He said, "I'm so honored to play in front of one of his works of art." And then the last one, oops. Okay, that's me and Rob. That was here in Port Aransas at a place called the Back Porch. So, now you know a little bit more about Rob Mehl. And the next time you see him, say, "Oop, I learned more about you from Cindy Muir and Trop Rock Tales." So, we'll see you again for number 3. It'll be Jimmy and the Parrots. See you soon.